Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought, since it is October, and October is my favorite month. October is my month. It's when my soul just like comes alive and it lights up. And yeah, I just thought that we could do something a little bit on the Halloween side. So one of the very first resin pieces that I ever really loved was this like rainbow skeleton hand I made. I will put a picture up here if you don't want to see it. Look away. But this is what it looked like. So I thought that we could make one of those today. So I'm really excited. Okay, so if you are interested in finding out how to make this skeleton hand, then keep on watching. If you want to just get right into this project, I would put a timestamp right here for you so you can skip ahead. So when I originally made this skeleton hand, like the first time, I made it to be kind of like a wind chime. And if you guys have ever worked with resin before, you might know that resin, like touching itself, doesn't really make like a cool sound. I mean, it's not like a super unsatisfying sound, but it's definitely not a wind chime. A wind chime is like, ah, that's nice. But, you know, resin hitting itself isn't really like, ah, that's nice. So, yeah, that's what I originally made it for, but alas. And I'm probably going to make it in that same way again, but, you know, it's going to be more of like a decorative wind chime rather than like a calming wind chime that you have for the sound. You'd rather have this one for the look of it. I'm going to show you guys what you're gonna need first, and then we're gonna jump into it. Alright, it's time for everybody's favorite thing, a voiceover tutorial. So right here I'm just measuring out equal parts of A and B of resin like we do in every single video, and then I'm gonna mix it up for 2 to 3 minutes in the first cup. Here's where I noticed the beautiful alcohol ink smear I had, so I washed it for you guys because I know that there would be some comments about the horrific purple ink line in the middle of this. And then once you mix that up for 2 to 3 minutes, you're going to want to pour it into another cup and mix again for 2 to 3 minutes until it's perfectly clear and there's no lines or like separation between the two parts. And then you can pour it into your mold. So make sure when you pour it into your mold that you're leaving like a sliver of space at the top so that it leaves room for the ink. Because if you fill your mold with resin completely to the top and then add ink, it might overflow a little bit. If that's okay with you, then that's okay with you. But I like to make sure that it just kind of like stays right at the tippy top. So I leave a little bit of space for the alcohol ink. So here's something I forgot to show you guys before, but I use a heat gun instead of a torch because torches for me usually melt the mold and kind of like fuse the mold to the piece, and that usually results in tearing the mold. So I use a heat gun instead of a torch because it just kind of pops the bubbles without melting the mold. And so now I'm going to shut up because it's the alcohol ink time, and we're all going to have a zen moment here watching alcohol ink because it is incredible. I'm going to shut up now, okay? I hope everybody had a really fantastic time watching those alcohol inks do their thing. It's one of my favorite things to watch. So once you let your skeleton hand cure for 24 hours, you can pop those suckers out, and then we will get started on making them look shiny, because this mold is matte, so your little fingers and your palm are going to come out matte. You don't have to make them shiny if you don't want to, but like if you're okay with it being matte, but I'm not okay with it being matte. I want to see straight through those. So I'm going to give it a clear coat of resin and make them sparkly. Well, not sparkly like glitter sparkly, but like sparkly like shiny. Okay, you guys get it. So I laid my skeleton hand on a trash bag because resin doesn't stick to trash bags. You can use a silicone mat if you have one. I do not have one, so I'm using a trash bag. But then I had some pre-mixed up clear casting resin, and I'm just gonna coat each finger and the palm with a thin coat of resin. Don't overdo it, because then it'll kind of like drip down the sides, and you will have to like trim the sides and sand them a lot. I did end up having to sand and trim a little bit, but if you like really go in and coat them with a lot of resin, it's going to drip off the sides and you're going to have to like really cut it down. So to avoid doing that, just do a thin little layer. So I obviously want to suggest using gloves. I want to suggest using gloves always when you're working with resin. You definitely don't want to be getting resin all over your hands. But I also want to suggest getting paintbrushes that are really cheap and basically disposable, because when you paint resin on and like you're using a brush, it's gonna like cure on your brush and it's gonna make it crusty. So I want to say that you can find cheap paintbrushes at the dollar store. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, or like let me know if that's true. I feel like you could. They have an artsy section, don't they? Anyway, I'm using these brushes. I know that they look kind of like nicer than you would want them to be, because I had to throw them away after this, but on the flip side of that, they were already pretty crusty because I'd used resin with them anyway before this. So use disposable brushes and also gloves. Another 24 hours later, because we coated it in casting resin, it needs another 24 hours to completely cure. You are going to need a little thing of ribbon. I think I had 6 like bigger rings, and then a drill with a smaller drill bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of mapping out where each hole is going to go, and I'm also putting in like a little divot. This is so that when I start drilling, it goes like straight in, because if you start drilling on the back of a cured piece, it could, the drill could kind of like dance around and scrape things or start drilling in the wrong place. So I like to put little divots for those two reasons, to kind of map it out and to make sure that the drill goes like straight into where exactly I want it to go. Don't worry, I know I'm not using like protective gloves or anything. It's okay. I will be okay. Also, when you put the rings in, you might have to go back in with the drill, like again later, just to kind of like wiggle it around and make some space for it. So if the ring, since it's so round, it can be hard for thicker parts of the resin to kind of like get through and be comfy in there and kind of like swing around and dangle how we want them to. So you can take the drill, like if it's giving you a hard time and you put the rings in, you can take the drill and kind of like, you know, drill it up and down a little bit to give it some wiggle room. Also, I used a needle tool through each hole so that I could kind of like clear, you know, the resin shavings, I suppose. And then I put a hole at the top because I'm going to be stringing like another ring through the top so that we can put the ribbon on and then hang it. So now that we have drilled the holes for each finger into the palm, we're going to take each finger and put little divots in like we did with the palm, and then we're going to drill the holes in. So each finger gets its own hole, and then the palm, each finger gets its own hole, oh my god. And then the palm gets the same amount of holes for the fingers with an extra hole at the top to hang it. So you've got a total of 6 holes in the palm, just to clarify, and then a hole in each finger. I don't know why I felt like I had to clarify that, but now it's clarified. Also, we are going from the back when we make our divots. We're making those divots on the back of the finger, not the front. I suppose you could make it on the front, but that is daring and bold and dangerous in my opinion. I wouldn't want to scratch the front, is why. Also, like the palm, if you're having a hard time getting the ring through, especially because some of the bottoms of the fingers are pretty thick, you can go back in with the drill and kind of like wiggle it around a little bit and make the hole a bit bigger, or you could use a bigger drill bit, which I didn't have, so I wiggled it around to make the hole a little bit easier for the ring to get through, but you can use a bigger drill bit if you want to. Now that every finger has a hole and every hole has a finger, we're gonna take the rings and open them up, and then we're probably, the way I did it was I put it through the palm first, and then, wow, I'm struggling with that. It's the first finger, you know, the first pancake is always the hardest. So yeah, I'm putting it through the palm first, and then I put it through the finger, making sure that they are both front side front. You know what I'm saying? Because I did put the thumb on, again, first pancake is always the hardest. So I put the thumb on backwards, so then I had to put it back through. It wasn't that big of a deal, but now that I'm saying it, it sounds like a big deal, but it wasn't. I just want to warn you off of that so that you don't make the same mistake. And then once the finger is on and in place, in the right place, obviously you don't want to be putting the thumb where the, you know, pinky goes. That might look a little freaky. Once everything is in place, you're going to want to close the ring. So I think I found it easier to go from the bottom with the ring and then go from the bottom on the finger as well. That way you know that both pieces are going to be front when you get the ring through it. Also, I do remember now watching this back that I did have to go back into each finger, basically every finger, and kind of re-drill a little bit and wiggle it a little bit to get some more space. And then once I got the finger on, I do remember wiggling it back and forth just to kind of like, I don't know, just to kind of like make it feel comfortable on the ring and be able to swing around, because that's the whole point of this thing, is to kind of like dangle and swing around. So that's what I had to do. And then once all the fingers are finally on, you can do a little weird dance with it and make it do some weird shiz. And then you can string the ring at the very top through. And then what I did was took some black ribbon and I strung it through the ring and I knotted it on the ring so that, you know, it didn't slide around on the ring, and then I knotted it at the top of the ribbon. I don't know why I just snapped there as if you could see me snap. I did finger guns and everything. It was pretty... We're gonna move on from it. So then, after that, it was a done deal. Oh my god, it was so cringy. So now you can ooh and ah your new skeleton hand, and everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, where did you get that cool rainbow skeleton hand? You can be like, I freaking made it. And they're gonna be like, oh my god. I think I just witnessed a fight at the post office. Post office drama. Oh my god. Alright, you guys, that is how I make these like little skeleton hands that can move. I just love that they can, like, I don't know, just move around. They obviously can't go this way, but they can go this way, and I think that's cool. And yeah, this is how I made it. Ooh. This one honestly came out so much better than the first time I did this. So this is what it looks like when it hangs. If you were just hanging it in midair, it kind of would spin around. But if you hang it against the wall, it would basically just stay flat like this. Or like maybe you could put it in a window, and it's definitely not a wind chime, because that's what you would hear. And it's not like a satisfying, like relaxing sound like a wind chime, but it could like blow around and be weird and cool. I don't know, it's a skeleton hand. It's weird and cool, right? That's all it really is. Oh my god, it's like that's creepy. If only my hand would look like this. I know I have a skeleton hand. I know that it's weird. Okay, I know that. I'm trying to show them how to make a rainbow skeleton hand. Don't judge me. You're a black cat. You should like this kind of thing. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you guys try to make this and how it comes out. Tag me on Instagram if you do try it. I would love to see your skeleton hands. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you to absolute death, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye!